Yes, bro, I got one guide.
That's all you get.
Fabrizio?
OLED monitors are only getting cheaper and cheaper, and in a recent video I covered off all of the best displays you can buy right now for a huge range of different budgets, form factors and resolutions. But what if you only have a limited budget for your next monitor upgrade? What options are available to you, and do budget OLED monitors actually offer up good value for money? Well, in this video I've rounded up the very best affordable OLEDs you can buy right now to see exactly what options are out there. Not only that, but me and the team have gone ahead and tested them all head to head, so I can tell you guys exactly what's best and what's worth avoiding in the world of affordable OLEDs. So without any further ado, let's dive into it after a quick word from today's video sponsor, because I've got to pay for these monitors somehow. The Corsair Frame Configurator has landed, allowing you to make Corsair's Frame 4000D case truly one of a kind. From a wide range of front panels that include clear RGB designs, tempered glass designs and a range of wood finishes, to customizable motherboard trays for rapid Route 2.0 cable support, change the PSU shroud to increase front radiator support, swap out the I/O, and even switch out the side panel to add additional fans or mount Corsair's Xeneon Edge screen on the side. Make the Frame 4000 your own at the first link in the description below. Now, before I dive into my specific recommendations, I should really begin by defining what I mean by budget. Is there really such thing as a cheap OLED monitor? Well, a couple of years ago, no, not really, but things have changed. Now, the panels in this video range from a low of about £350 or dollars through to a maximum of between 500 and 600, depending on price fluctuations at the time of buy-in. I've tried to keep as many of the recommendations in this video as possible below the $500 mark, and comfortably so, to make the displays that I'm featuring here genuinely attainable for those of you who might not be rocking a top-end gaming PC build or endless budget. Now, to many of you, some of these panels aren't something you'd class as cheap, and that's fine. If you'd like to see me do a video on alternative panel types at lower price points, let me know, as it's something I'd be keen to check out. I also want to cover off some of the basic fundamentals of gaming monitors before we begin, and specifically the OLED technology, as for many of you watching this video, these will likely be the first OLED monitors that you maybe consider buying. Now, the first big for white OLED, fantastic AW27260M. Now, this is a 27 or 26.5-inch QD OLED monitor that ticks a lot of boxes for the cheapest price point on the list today. At the time of filming, it clocks in around the £350 or dollar mark, and for that you get a 1440p panel, a 240Hz refresh rate, and super fast 0.03 millisecond response time. Now, this 27-inch form factor is going to be incredibly common in the list of recommendations today, as is the third gen Samsung QD OLED panel that this uses. That's the byproduct of having essentially two panel manufacturers in the world of OLED gaming monitors. It's also for that reason that you're going to see a lot of similar specs between some of the recommendations on this list, but I'll do my best to let you know what's different about each of the panels. Where this Alienware monitor really excels is giving you that OLED panel technology at a really entry-level price point. You've got the 1.5 million to 1 contrast ratio with the deep punchy blacks, fantastic colour reproduction, and a glossy panel which just looks really, really nice. Reflections are not horrendous too. You can see here we're under some really bright lights, and reflections in this particular scene are not really a major issue. The stand gives you good adjustment, so we can have height up and down with a good degree of adjustability, alongside tilt both up and down on the monitor too. The construction in areas feels a little bit more plastic given its cheaper price point, particularly in things like the stand here and the monitor frame on the bottom, but the bezels are reasonably thin, as is the monitor.
ethno-national. Oh, this is. Somebody got mad at me for posting this. I think all of this is basically true, but I don't think I've ever ran out of magic before, so maybe we don't need the MTF material. Well, no, I don't. This is like a. I mean, it's like it's unfortunately, yeah, but that's
Brain
like
rot, but true.
you'd have to open up. There's like 20 different like offensive boxes of like identity politics to get through to even begin to talk about that. So it's good names.
People got mad at you for that
Israeli attacks on Hezbollah.
Well, no, I don't. This is like a seriously deep conversation about Israeli society in the Middle East that most people in the West just don't even know anything about and aren't equipped to have. It just gets into because there's a lot of weird implications too. So, like for instance, so one thing I scream about a lot is that like Jew doesn't refer to the religion. It refers to like an ethnicity of people, right? It's like Jewish is not like actually the religion.
Yeah.
It's a people. That's true, but that's actually only really partially true. I think Jew is more like a even saying this actually triggers some Jews. It's more of an what would you call this? Like an ethno-national concept? Not even an ethno-state, but an ethno-national concept, because there are different, like, well-recognized ethnic separations within Jewish people. So, for instance, like Ashkenazi Jews that came from Europe they look white, right? This is like the stereotypical Brooklyn Jew that people like Hassan say, go back home, go out of here, you know? And that's what they envision all Jewish people to look like, is the Ashkenazi Jewish people who are the white Europeans with the high IQ and all that bullshit that are from Brooklyn, right? They say that are from Europe. But you also have like the Mizrahi Jews who make up the majority of the country, the majority of the Jewish people in the country now. If you go to Israel today, more people will look like an Arab than look like fucking Hassan, who looks like a white man. But that's because after the diaspora came back and after all of the Israel independence and then all the wars, more and more of the Middle Eastern Jews, who probably absorbed some things from like Arab societies and their ways of living and everything, came back to Israel. And those people tend to be far more like religiously driven, and not, well, I'll just say religiously driven.
Not have like Western ideals or
yeah,
whatever.
let's go with that. Yeah, without trying to say like one culture is better than the other or whatever. But yeah, but there's like, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. For your earlier question, it depends on what we consider Israel doing politics. They've normalized relations with basically all of their important neighbors, and even now have a Syria that is outside of Iran's orbit. Abraham Accords, as much as you meme on them, established ties with the UAE. When I say is like doing things with their neighbors, I don't mean normalize relations. I mean like on a what you really want is you want to have like strong relationships with your neighbors so that you could count on them for things beyond just like not killing you. And sometimes I feel like, and I understand I'm just saying this, like it would be hard to do this in practice, of course, but when it comes to things like Lebanon, my God, it would be so nice from the Israeli perspective if they actually had like some kind of sign-off or some kind of like positive signaling from neighboring Arab states. Like, the reality is...
But people being excited of them, like, attacking Hezbollah, you know?
Kind of, yeah. Like, I don't remember who said this, but, like, it used to be that Lebanon was a country with a militia. Back when Hezbollah, and I think it was in the 80s, first started to, crop up there. It was supported by Iran. And now I think people will describe Lebanon as, like... they describe it as like a militia with a country because Hezbollah is just so powerful, or was so powerful, and I think probably still is. It would just be nice if Israel, like at least from the appearance of the West, and I feel like even in the Middle East, it does kind of feel this way. Israel is kind of just always going at it alone, and even the leadership, the monarchs and everything that are friendly to the U.S., like the support is like tepid at best. I don't know. All of those countries have populations that hate Jews, and that was before October 7th and the following war. There's not much Israel could do with those countries outside of normalizing relations with their leadership. So this is why I don't believe you, okay? And I don't remember if you're just Jewish or Israeli, Mike. I love you. And I do appreciate the perspective. But, like, this is so embarrassing to say because I read so much about this country before going there. I did not know. I had no fucking idea that of the 9 million people that lived in Israel proper, that 2 million of them are Arab. That is fucking insane. That is like the most insane idea to me ever. When you talk about how much like Muslims and Arabs are prone to terrorist attacks and killing people and blah, blah, blah. Like, what better part of the world than Arabs and Jews literally living fucking next to each other, where the other 2 million Arabs are direct descendants of people that are currently being oppressed or apartheid or whatever, right? But they don't, right? They all seem to get along with each other pretty well. They do, which is amazing. So the idea that Israel has no way of making the people in these neighboring countries like them, while the monarchs are all basically sold out to the United States, and you know, at the very least from the leadership, will maintain relations. I guess I feel like there is an opportunity there. There must be some way that Israel could make nice with the people next door. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know if it's like fucking, if they have to go on camping trips together, state sponsored, or if they have to fucking bring back the animal Darfur dude, not that guy, whatever the fuck the guy's name was, but have like a Jewish Muppet too. Like, there has to have been some way. There has to be some way to make these people get along with each other better. There has to be some way to do this.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get along with the West, why can't they get along with Israelis?
Who?
I mean, we'll say like Saudi
the Arabs
Arabia,
or
UAE,
oh.
yeah, like the
well,
Arab countries.
because the actual answer is the reason why they quote unquote get along with the West is because they have monarchs there that were installed when the Ottoman Empire fell, and those monarchs are largely friendly to the West. So the monarchs are friendly to the West. The people,
they like their monarchs, right?
Maybe, I don't know. It's a monarchy. You don't know. Who knows? I mean, like, it's not like they're starving. It's not like a horrible, terrible. You know, they're not like fucked. Like it's a serviceable monarch. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know what the average Saudi thinks of like the United States, or I'm pretty sure the average Saudi or the average like Gulf state person probably doesn't have the best opinion. Like, this is how I feel it is. Okay, when I spoke to Arabs from Gulf states, okay, this is like what an Arab sounds like that doesn't hate Israelis. Okay, they say, we're happy that we make money. Our life here is pretty good, and we don't hate the Jews. Even though we do know that they control the rest of the world, sometimes in an antagonistic manner. Like, we know that they run the United States and they run everything else in the world, but for the most part, they kind of leave us alone. So we're like, okay, that's like a normal, like non-hateful, yeah, that's like the normal, or like the better than maybe even normal like Arab. That's like the impression. But if it was like a fucking war of, you know, survival or some shit, I don't know if all of, like, an average Arab citizen in like a Gulf state or like an average Egyptian is gonna be like, okay, Jews, let's go and fight together and it'll be great, guys. But I don't know. One thing that's also fucking annoying to me, and I don't know if they know this in Iran, but like, when other countries are dealing with the United States and when they deal with Israel, they always seem to be very aware of our current politics. So when arguably one of the reasons why the Taba Summit and the Camp David Accord, or the Camp David talks and everything with Clinton failed is because Arafat knew that Clinton was on the way out, and he wanted to talk to Bush as soon as he came in. He knew that, and that was something that he waited for. And I think when Rabin, was trying to negotiate, it wasn't Rabin. It was Ehud Barak was trying to negotiate with Arafat. I think Arafat also knew that. It was like, oh, I'm gonna wait this one out. I'll see who comes in next. You look like you're in a kind of fucked position. And I think Mahmoud Abbas, has referenced this with Olmert when they were negotiating. Everybody always seems to be keenly aware. I don't know.
Wait for the next one.
Yeah, there's like a flip where the Arabs seem to learn. I say this a lot with their propaganda, the whole like Hollywood and everything. They seem to learn like the language and the politics of the West. But people in the West, or at least Israel, seems like kind of fucking retarded. I don't know when it comes to dealing with the Arab political situation. Like, they think that they're still children, or they think they're all retarded still, and they can't do politics, which was true, 80 years ago. But I don't think that's true anymore. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
How does the U.S. like fight back against that if they're just waiting for the next president?
I mean, I don't know. You have a good deal. You have to find ways to apply pressure that's outside of like just your leadership. Like bringing other countries on board, bringing other Arab states on board, or other Arab leadership.
Make a good deal. Like, you incentivize it.
Right. Yeah, arguably, I did research on this at one point. I think I have a note on it. I think arguably Iran played this game because I think they fucking hated Jimmy Carter. And
yes, they did.
Yeah, it was the day I think that Reagan was sworn in. That's when the massive hostage thing came to an end and they released everybody. Yeah, which kind of undermined Carter a lot, yeah. Are you crazy?
And the tough thing on this battlefield is that once you've been identified and you're targeted, you have a choice. You can either die where you are, or you can get up and try to run away and die.
It's crazy.
In other words,
So
it's a
tired right
terrible
now. I'm
situation.
so tired.
There's no escape. And that's what you want if you're attacking, and that's the position the Russians are in right now. So the people that are down in those fortress cities, they've had it. Their lives are, going to run out very shortly. Now, having said all that, this is an important question. You say, well, what's the larger impact? In 1917, towards the end, when when the government changed hands, Kerensky was pushed out, and in came the Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks then decided they wanted to negotiate with the Imperial German General Staff, and so the German General Staff met with them in a town called Brest-Litovsk in what used to be eastern Poland, or very, very western Russia. Anyway, Brest-Litovsk was the site, and the Bolsheviks tried to negotiate for time. In other words, they weren't terribly serious. At the time, a General Hofmann, who was in charge, called Ludendorff, who was the chief of staff, and said, you know, these criminals we're talking to, which is what they were, murderers, Bolsheviks, and so forth, they're wasting our time, and we need to get this over with. And Ludendorff said, fine. And then he sent 400,000 troops in the direction of Moscow. All of a sudden, Lenin sends Trotsky to Brest-Litovsk, tells Trotsky to sign whatever the Germans put in front of him and stop the war, because he knew he would not survive, and neither would the Bolshevik Revolution, if the Germans moved on Moscow. Now, I think that's something that
Let's see.